The Dred Scott decision passed by the Supreme Court in this country said there are no rights that any black man has that any white man anywhere in this country has to respect at any time or at any place. The fugitive slave law said that if any white person stopped you in the street and demanded to see your papers, like particularly the passbooks of South Africa, failure to produce those papers meant the white person could send you south into slavery because the burden of proof was on the black man at all times. He was guilty until proven innocent. Lynching and the willful legal murder of Africans in the so-called New World made Africans know trouble like Paul never dreamed of when the Africans sang, "There is trouble all over this world." When the Africans sang, there was trouble between the slave trading white countries. The British fought the Portuguese fought the French, the Spaniards fought the Dutch, and blacks were nothing but pawns in a geopolitical war of greed. When the Africans sang, there was trouble in this land. Some states were slave-holding states and some states were free states. The Indians welcomed the Africans into their ranks, the villages, and their tribes. However, the Buffalo Soldiers, named by the Indians black, loyal to the white government, which oppressed black people, the Buffalo Soldiers fought against the Indians who were helping other Africans. Trouble! When the Africans sang, some black believers were doing everything they could to get free. Gabriel Prosser in 1800, a black Baptist preacher, led a revolt like the revolt described in Acts 21. In 1822 in Charleston, South Carolina, Denmark Vesey, a black Methodist preacher, led a revolt like the Prosser revolt in 1800 and the Egyptian revolt in Acts 21. In 1830 in Northampton, Virginia, Nathaniel Turner, a black Baptist preacher, led another revolt like the Prosser revolt. In 1800 the Haitian revolt. In 1780s and 90s the Vesey revolt. In 1822 in the Egyptian revolt. In Acts 21, folks who are held in slavery want to be free by any means necessary. Harriet Tubman in the 1840s and 1850s up through the Civil War, a black AME Zion preacher led over 300 Africans to freedom like the Egyptian led 4,000 to fight. Harry was toting a 44, and in each case in this country, in Gabriel Prosser's case, 1800, in Denmark Vesey's case, 1822, in Nat Turner's case, 1830, the revolt was thwarted because of black Uncle Tom or Aunt Thomasina. We're talking a Secretary of State named Blackwell or a Secretary of State named Condoleezza, a black Tom or a Blackwell, a Thomasina or Condoleezza. Somebody black whose allegiance was to the white slaveholders or the white supremacists. The revolt was thwarted because somebody black ran told Master what them doctors were getting ready to do. There was trouble when the Africans sang. Right on the plantation among them in the African community. There was trouble in this world community when the Africans sang. There was trouble in the African community when the Africans sang. And there was trouble in the church community when the Africans sang. Some white Christians thought they were superior to Africans. Some white Christians thought that God ordained slavery. Dutch African Church in South Africa said it was ordained of God. Some white Christians prayed for a safe passage of a slave ship after sleeping with a slave woman and saw no contradiction in that behavior. There was trouble in the church. The Baptist church, the Methodist church, the Presbyterian church, the Christian church split north and south over the issue of chattel slavery. Great debates, scholarly debates, theological debates were waged in public and in print over whether or not Africans were human. Arguments by Christians, white Christians. Did Africans have souls? Could you baptize an African? Were they capable of belief? Were they competent enough to learn the catechism of the Anglican Church in Virginia and Charleston, South Carolina? Or were they literate enough to learn the catechism of the Congregational Church of New England, the same denomination that founded Harvard University and fought and paid for the freedom of the Mende people aboard the slave ship Amistad? Everybody in that denomination, our denomination, was not for freeing or Christianizing the Africans, and freeing them or abolishing slavery did not mean that they were equal to white people. There was trouble in the Christian church when the Africans sang, "There is trouble all over this world." And they sang the answer to the question that Scriven wrote during slavery. Scriven wrote it. He asked, "Is there trouble anywhere?" And the Africans answered in their story, almost said Freddie Haynes, hell to the yes. Yes, there's trouble all over this world. Their answer does not end with the word world, however. Choir just sang it. They sang, there is trouble all over this world, children, but I ain't gonna lay my religion down. And the reason they were able to say that and sing that and mean that has to do with the three things that Paul teaches us in this powerful passage. 2 Corinthians 4, 7, 8, and 9. The reason they're able to say that and sing that and mean that has to do with the word religion that the Africans use. Ain't gonna lay my religion down. For a long time, before I got to Howard University, I was confused about black English. And I would listen to those songs sung in black English. It is not a dialect. Linguists will tell you it is a language. And I thought it was just a truncated, childish version of people trying to pronounce English words. Did not have any clue what was going on linguistically in the creation of that language. Dr. Geneva Smitherman, the giant of a genius of African languages and African American linguistics, teaching now at the Michigan State University, was just blessed to be in her presence week before last. She has a brand new book out on the word, the spoken word from Africa, of Africans, both on the continent and in the New World. The word that comes from an oral culture and has far too many more meanings and much deeper meanings than the meanings of the untutored eye or that the untutored ear will ever be able to comprehend. The Adinkra symbols, those of you who have been to Ghana, you know the Akan culture, the Ashanti. The Adinkra symbols is but one example of the word that has two different, when two different sets of eyes look at the Adinkra symbol, only one pair of eyes will really know what is being captured in that symbol and expressed through that symbol. The untutored eye will see aesthetic beauty in the symbol, but the African from that culture will see a spiritual truth in that same symbol. Roland Bibb, one of our deacons in training, was sharing with Sandra's husband with the class last night one of the little known facts about African quilt making, African quilt hangings and African quilts being displayed at certain times. Roland grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and his elders in the South told him and the little ones his age as he was growing up that the Africans in slavery used to make quilts with what looked like strange designs, odd markings, exotic symbols, and beautiful arrangements. But what they looked like and what they were in actuality were two different things. The quilts had words on them, words of warning, words of encouragement, words of substance that served as symbols and words that only other Africans knew and understood. They would hang a certain quilt which would tell all the Africans when danger was near, when the slave patrol was in the vicinity, or when an undercover Negro, a spy for the plantation owner, had infiltrated their ranks. They'd hang that quilt. They'd hang another quilt to let those who were going to run away know when it was time, know when the Underground Railroad was running, know where the gospel train was passing through, and know precisely where they should be and how they should be ready and when they should be ready if they were going to get on board that night. On the next night or 3 nights from now, the quilt would change, the design would change depending on the message that needed to be sent through the quilt. The word would get out without a word being spoken. And the spoken word and sung word function on the same several different layers of meaning, reality, so that many times what the hearer heard being sung and what the singer meant, or what was actually being said as the song was sung, were two different things all together. The word religion, moreover, was one of those powerfully loaded and wonderfully tapestried words. It meant far more to the African singing it than it did to the European hearing it sung. Have you got good religions? Certainly, Lord. That song talked about a religion that was the opposite of the white man's religion. Because everybody talking about heaven, they ain't going there. Some of the religious songs, Africans, were in fact